All right, today we are talking about a student-centered app, and I wanted to talk about something that I've used a lot in my teaching with students, which is what is now called the Google Drive. And if you look at what's on my screen right now, this is my work email as a teacher. It's powered through Gmail. You see our school logo up here. And all of our students have Gmail accounts through our school, so they're given a email address through our school, which is their last name, first name initial, then their graduation year at schoolcommunity.com. So basically how you use Google Drive, if you go up here, you'll see there's a button with 9 little boxes and it says apps. If you click that, it brings down a menu, and you'll see a little triangle with green, yellow, and blue, Drive underneath. If you click this, it will take you to the drive that is associated with your email account. So, if you look, this is almost like, it's just basically a file storage system. But there's a lot of things you can do. There's a ton of benefits for using Google Drive in your classroom, and there's so many ways you can use it. And I'm sure that there are many ways that I don't know that would be effective for the classroom, but a few things I do know I'd like to share. So essentially what's great about Google Drive at its essence is that it is collaborative. Whereas in the old days you had a file on your computer and you worked on that independently. If you wanted to share that with someone, you'd have to send it as an attachment, and then if they made edits, they'd have to send you that attachment back with those edits, and then you'd have to resave that to your computer. And so collaboration just added a few steps to what you were doing with files. But now there's some pretty cool things you can do. So if you have a file on your computer that you've already created as a Word document, you can click this little arrow here which says upload, and if you click that, it takes you to basically you see your computer and your files. So let's see if I can find a file. Okay, so documents. Let's see. Alright, this is random. I don't even know what this is, but okay, so pilot training. So if I choose this, it now uploads it into my drive. And usually the formatting of the documents and whatnot is pretty good. So if I open this, I now have a file that was previously on my computer is now on my Google Drive. So it's on the internet. I can access this anytime I have internet access, and I can get on my drive through my email. So essentially now, if I edit this document, it will edit this document on my drive. So if I open this somewhere else, it'll have my edits. So sample edits, this now will be on this document. And the thing is, like, let's say I'm working on this MYP Humanities pilot training with somebody else and we're collaborating on this document. I go up here to File and then I click Share, and this brings me here, and I can invite other people to work on this document with me. Then I can choose what they can do. They can only have the right to comment, and so they wouldn't be able to edit any of the content, but they could leave comments on the side, or they can just view it. That's if you just want to share something with other people, and it's not as much about collaborating at that point. It's more just showing them what you're working on or sharing that document with them. But in this case, let's say I want to edit so the other person can work on it. So I'm going to send it to myself, my other email account, and then I want to add a message that says, hey, let's work on this MYP pilot training together this weekend. Principal wants to see our work on Tuesday. Okay, so it's a private document. I only want it to be between me and my other email account. So if I send that, it shoots an email over to that email account, the person you want to collaborate with, and they now are listed here as who has access. And you can change what they are allowed to do later, and you can even make them the owner of the document if you want later on. And then down here, editors will be allowed to add people and change permissions. So if you don't change that, then this person could also collaborate or send it to someone else to collaborate on. Anyway, so that's one thing you can do with this. Okay, so you can upload documents and share those with people. Another thing that you can do, and in that same vein, one thing that's really cool, and I kind of hinted at this, is if I send a document to someone else and I share it with them to edit, and we're going to collaborate on that, think about all the possibilities that there are in your classroom with students. You can have students work on projects together where they're sharing a document with one another and working on that collaboratively. You can have them doing PowerPoints. There's a lot of things that you can do. So I'll show you a sample here. So in one of my master's classes in EDG 605, I was working with a classmate. Close that. And we were doing a project on a controversial issue. So basically there were 5 parts to this project. There was statement of the issue with definitions, brief history of the issue, discussion of the pros and cons, conclusions. So basically what we did is we divided up the project. Hey, you do number 1, 3, and 5, and I'll do number 2 and 4. And then we both wrote our sections independently and collaborated together on those. And then we pulled this together and handed it in as a paper. And we had worked on it together. I'm in South Korea and he was in Kentucky. So we were collaborating across the world. So this is an example of how students can do a project together. Another thing, they have a PowerPoint feature on here which you can collaborate on. And we worked on this together and inputted information from our other research paper into a PowerPoint and did edits and worked on things together and collaborated through this project. So that's another pretty cool example of how students can collaborate together. In my classroom, I've done peer editing where they share their paper with a classmate, and the classmate is able to type directly onto their paper and make edits. And you have to set up some rules for that, like I want the edits to be in a different color, I want you to do your edits using the comment feature or whatever. Thankfully on these documents you can see if for whatever reason someone does delete something, you can actually, I gotta find this really quick, you can actually see who did what, which is kind of interesting. So you can see who made edits and whatnot. Okay, actually this is not the right thing. Anyway, so you can go back if someone types a bad word on here or they delete something, you can go back and see who did it through the history feature, which is easily enough found if I had the time. Okay, another really cool thing that you can do with Google Doc app is you can do formative assignments or surveys. So you go over here to create, you can create brand new documents here. You don't have to upload stuff that's already been created. So you can do whatever you want. But if you create a form, I'm just going to do the default form. And let's title this, let's call this the bell ringer, March 3rd or something. Okay, just made that up. Okay, so let's say we're going to ask 3 questions. I'm not going to type out all 3, but let's say we want to ask a multiple choice question, and we're doing To Kill a Mockingbird. Let's say why, yeah, that's too complicated. Let's do something else. Something simple. Let's do a math problem. Okay, so 4 times 5, let's say it's elementary school. We want to do multiple choice. Let's say the answer is 15 20, 25, 25, or 30. Okay, so we're doing just a little basic multiplication check with students. Let's have this. We're going to share it. Where is that? No, sorry. Okay, so we want to send this form. Okay, I'm going to send it to myself so I can find it easily. Okay, so I've sent that form to my student, and now the student, if they go to their email, they'll see the question, and they're going to say 4 times 5. Oh, I think that's 20. Okay, they're going to submit that. Okay, they've submitted the bell ringer. All your students would do that while you're there, and then I should be able to okay, so I should have gotten an email that had the responses section on it, but I think I was confused because I sent it to my own email. So I'd have all my students, I'd say, okay, I've emailed you the bell ringer for the day. Get out your pen and paper, whatever you're going to do your math work on to figure it out using the method we worked on last class. And these are the questions you're going to answer. You have 5 minutes, and then after those 5 minutes are up, I can go here. It collects their username and everything, so I can click here, and I can easily see, well, I should have clicked the option that had username, but I can see here clearly. I would have, let's say I had 10 kids in my class, I'd have all 10 of their responses there. So even if I wasn't that concerned about the username, I just wanted to do a formative check and see what percentage of the class actually knew the answer to that question or those types of questions. I can easily see that here as soon as they're done with their response. I mean, I don't have to sit there and grade a bunch of formative bell ringer slips as they come in. So it's pretty cool. The forms feature is cool. You can also do a number of surveys and whatnot. I mean, you can basically create any type of question you want here. You can create a paragraph text question. You could do a multiple choice, a checkbox, choose from a list, scale, grid, date, time. It's pretty sweet. I've used this a ton in my classroom and just in a lot of different ways around school. Alright, so I just showed you 2 features, collaborating, how to upload a document, and then how to share a document with another person, which in this case we're talking about how would this be great in the classroom. You can use it for students to collaborate with each other. You can collaborate with students. Another thing you could do is have your students, if they're working on a paper or some sort of written assignment, that you can check progress. They've shared it with you. You would have all your students share their document with you, and then you can easily click through as they're working. If you give them a work day in class, you can kind of see who's actually making progress, who's typing, who's not, without having to kind of walk around the room. Everyone looks super busy when they're sitting at your desk, but then if you walk around, all of a sudden you realize people haven't made that much progress, so you can kind of follow along. You can do formative checks with the forms and surveys. There's just a ton you can do, and I probably barely scratched the surface. I mean, it's pretty amazing what you can do with Google Docs, and if your school is committed to it, it's just awesome when they have Gmail as your work email, because I mean, so many of these are things with my coworkers, not just students. But yeah, here's a student assignment I did. I had students creating theme statements, and so we did an assignment on here where students had to put their theme statements on here, and this is all collaborated with a number of students in my class, which is pretty cool. But anyway, I hope that you found that interesting, and that that's something that you possibly could use in your own classroom for what you're going to do. Let me see if I can find this. Camtasia, where are you? Oh yeah.